Well, it is. Hopefully they're gonna do something really nice with the landscaping, because right now it's.
I'm like, your experience would be 30 to 5.
Oh, I do remember.
See what I'm saying?
That was on the.
Or if you all do allow alternative schedules, then it goes through whatever process that everybody else goes through. And to me, whenever you do your annual review, those are conversations you gotta continuously have.
We went to both of the three.
The Dr. Parley did this, they would have given her time.
They were going there. Yeah, it's good.
This is when they're gonna start, when it's expected to be over at this time.
That was a great line. I swear I almost laughed.
Hey, Carol, what you doing? I know it. So let me ask you a question, so.
Well, I definitely won't be going tomorrow. And
Yeah, that guy that did the eulogy.
Yep.
Almighty. Get them to 6:03. Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:03 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 29th, 2023. I'd like to welcome everyone to Richland County Council's special call meeting. This meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, take the roll, please.
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
McBride. Here. Livingston.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Also let the record reflect that Councilwoman Newton and Councilwoman Barron are attending tonight's meeting virtually. They both are out of town on business, but again, they are attending virtually in accordance with our rules and will be participating in this evening's meeting. Next item on the agenda is item 2, the invocation that will be given by the Honorable Cheryl English. Councilwoman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let us bow. Father, it's in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. As we bow before your sovereignty, God, we just ask your presence and your guidance over this meeting. Father, we thank you for all that you do. We just ask for your wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and revelation, Lord, as we go through this agenda, Lord, and we make decisions based on, God, the things that will bring this county better and, Lord, allow us to grow together. Father, we just thank you for each and every leader. We just ask for grace for every family that's represented in Richland County. God, we just bless our staff that goes before, Lord, carrying out the mandates that we set before them. And Father, just continue to bless us and keep your loving arms around us. Father, continue to give Richland County the grace it needs as we do the work of the people. For Father, you said in your word, when the righteous are in leadership, the people rejoice. So, Father, allow us to continue to rule with that grace, with that mercy, and, Lord, just governing, making sure we make all the right decisions according to your will. These and all blessings we ask, and thanks we give in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Councilwoman English, for that moving prayer. Next item on the agenda is item 4, approval of the minutes. Item 4A, regular session from July 18, 2023. Any changes, additions, to the minutes? All right, there being none, I entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 4B, approval of the minutes for the zoning public hearing from July 25th, 2023. Any changes, additions, or deletions to those minutes? There being none, entertain a motion.
Number, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item on the agenda is item 5, adoption of the agenda. Any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? There being none, entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? Mr. Wright, I saw your hand go up. Is there something you'd like to add?
No, I was just moving the microphone closer.
Good answer. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman.
You recognize Councilman Weaver.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, just a quick point of personal privilege here. I'd just like to thank the Clerk of Council staff for her excellent job in getting us prepared for the Association of Counties meeting. She was there. She kept us organized, kept us from knowing what was going on, and she used a lot of her personal time. So I'd just like to publicly thank her and her staff for doing that. Absolutely. So appreciate that. I would also like to note, Mr. Chairman, that I was signed up for ethical leadership and legal responsibilities. Now, I'm not drawing any conclusions from that. I am just making that note that I did notice that, Mr. Chairman, and I did attend. So
There's nothing wrong with constructive, deductive reasoning.
just making a note of that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
You recognize Councilman Pugh.
Thank you, sir. I'd just like to recognize our friends from the South Carolina Military Department that's in the audience this evening.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 6, report of the county attorney for executive session items. Mr. Wright, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We have a number of items, 6 items for executive session. The first is Blythewood Intergovernmental Agreement annexation pursuant to Code Section 30-4-70, subsection A, 2, and 5. B is MPG Arden LLC versus Richland County et al. Road closure petition pursuant to Code Section 30-4-70, subsection A2. Section C, number C is letter C, proposed amendment of Land Development Code interim procedures pursuant to same code subsection A2 and 5. D, Legislative Act 81, an amendment to Richland County Code regarding First Steps program pursuant to same section, subsection A2. E is the personnel matter, county attorney contract. F, the case regarding the Honorable Joseph M. Strickland versus Richland County Legislative Delegation, Richland County, pursuant to the same code subsection A2.
All right, can you tell me if any of these matters involve outside counsel?
They do not this
Okay,
present.
All right, so we can take it up later in the evening. All right. Next item on the agenda is item 7, citizens input. For items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing, Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Just 1 minute, Mr.
Sure.
Chair, while they get me the forms. All right, Mr. Chair, no one has signed up this evening for 7A.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Next item on the agenda is item 8, citizens input. Must pertain to Richland County matters not on the agenda. Items for which a public hearing is required or a public hearing has been scheduled cannot be addressed at this time. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one individual that has signed up to speak this evening. It is Miss Kim Murphy. Ms. Murphy, if you would come forward to the mic, please. If you would, state your first and your last name as well as your address, and you have 2 minutes to speak, and you'll hear the timer when your 2 minutes has expired.
Thank you. Kim
You're
Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane in Chapin, and I may have signed up on the wrong section. I'm more interested in the county procedures and how adopting ordinances, the procedure in that, and I can speak more specifically to an ordinance as an example. The Land Development Code 2021, apparently amendments are not allowed until a map is approved by council. But I heard more recently that from the county attorney that the 2005 code can also not be amended, the one that we're operating under now. And this appears to, on the agenda for an executive session matter, something related to interim procedures. And I'm wondering if that might be something separate than the 2005 code and the 2021 code that can't be amended. And if that means that amendments can take place under interim procedures. And you may have conversation later on after executive session that might answer that question. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, that concludes all individuals that have signed up to speak this evening.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Next item on the agenda is item 9, so open closed public hearings. First item is 9A, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Vista Depot Holding, LLC, among other of its affiliates, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
That public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 9B, authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreements by and among Richland County, South Carolina, LDE, LLC, and Shop Grove 1, LLC, formerly known as Project Growth, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits, and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, do you want to sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
Public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 9C, authorizing the expansion of the boundaries of the I-77 Corridor Regional Industrial Park developed with Fairfield County to include certain property located in Richland County. The execution and delivery of a public infrastructure credit agreement to provide for public infrastructure credits to 2222 Main LLC and company formerly known to the county as Project Main View and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
That public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 10, report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. Just a quick couple updates before I ask Director Byrd to come forward, Mr. Chair. We actually did, myself along with a number of county administrators throughout the state, received from the State Ethics Commission an opportunity to provide training to our various department heads and elected officials. So Councilmember Weaver, don't feel bad because they're asking everybody to make sure we're getting training. And so one of the things that we'll be doing is we're partnering together to try to get together a date and time that makes sense for everybody. They said they can do it in person or they can do it virtually. And so we'll just try to open it up to the entire county of officials, department heads, so that we can show that that's something that we think is important to our county. So you'll see something coming out about that probably in the next coming weeks, if not month. But what I want to really start off with is a general update related to the weather. There's been a lot of questions related to the weather. And so I'm going to ask the Director of Emergency Management, Michael Byrd, to come forward, give you just a brief update on that. Then I'll talk to you about some decisions that have been made locally. Some of them you might have already heard. I'll kind of talk about some county-specific decisions. Then we'll move on to the general updates that are a part of the document. Mr. Byrd?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, members of council. First of all, our thoughts and concerns are going out now to the communities that are going to be impacted by this hurricane. The effects are starting now in Florida as it gets close to the coast. The snapshot I'm going to give you now is something that can change as the storm wobbles or moves. The effects for Richland County may not be exact as I present them, but they'll be close. It appears that it will make landfall. It's currently a Category 2 with winds over 100 miles an hour, and it is projected to make landfall as a Category 3, which is a major hurricane. They're already seeing some of the effects of flooding now in Florida. But as the storm comes into Florida, and it's going to come through Georgia and into South Carolina, and it certainly will impact Richland County. The exact impact is going to vary a little bit from the upper part of the county down to the lower part of the county, with the lower part of the county probably seeing more of the effects of rain and wind. And the areas toward the east, toward the coast from Richland County will also probably have a more of an impact from the storm. Out of abundance of caution, Governor McMaster has issued a state of emergency in order to prepare for the potential effects of the storm, and that's putting the resources on standby to mobilize and deploy if they're needed. Currently, there are no local evacuation orders, and we don't really expect any. If the conditions worsened on the coast, that could change. There's also no plans to open any shelters on the coast or inland. That also could change if the condition changes. Here in Richland County, we opened today. We started the planning process and had meetings in the EOC. We're currently at OPCON 3, which is normal operations. And in the morning, we will go to OPCON 2, which is a heightened sense of readiness. We will have our internal staff only at this point reporting into the EOC. Some of the concerns that we have for Richland County is heavy rain that could cause flash flooding, and probably the areas that normally get flooding or flash flooding, we'll see that again tomorrow or tomorrow night. DHEC has been communicating with the dams, the owners of the dams on the ponds and lakes that we've been concerned about since 2015. So that's being monitored by DHEC. High winds can also bring down trees and power lines and block roadways, so that's a concern that we have, as well as just normal transportation of large trucks, involving large trucks and buses. They don't do well in severe wind. So we're hoping that everyone is going to take some precautions that mitigate the potential for excessive public safety response during the event. What this means for us, or the timing of this storm for us as it stands right now, tomorrow, starting about 6 o'clock in the morning, we should see winds of up to maybe 12 miles an hour. By noon, we should maybe see gusts of up to 30 miles an hour. And by 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., 35 miles an hour, and 6 o'clock through 9 o'clock, 45 gusts of 45 miles per hour up through midnight and into Thursday. Somewhere around 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., that probably will start tapering off as the storm moves on up the coast of South Carolina and exits our area. Our total projected rain right now is up to 5 inches in some parts of the county. Damage assessment is important if we do have damage, so we've got our damage assessment teams prepped and ready to go if we need them. Richland County's threshold for damage right now is $1.847 million, and what that means is we have to exceed that amount in uninsured losses before we would be eligible for any type of assistance or reimbursement for public assistance. So that's kind of where we stand right now. We have a phone number that's available, 803-576-3439. That goes right into the EOC. If anyone has any questions or needs information from us, we can get that to you.
Repeat that number again, just
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
record. Just say it a little slower.
Yes, ma'am. It's 803-576-3439. And that will go active at noon tomorrow.
Thank you, Director Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And Mr. Chair, members of council, you may not be aware of this, but traditionally when we've had weather events here in the county, I've tried to coordinate a meeting with all of our school districts, local other governments, so that we could all kind of be on the same page to understand what we're looking at, what type of decisions that we might make that might affect both employees and members of the community. So that we could, again, be effective in how we send out information concerning decisions that we might make. That meeting happened today about 2 o'clock. Had great participation from a number of community partners that we would call school districts, again, private schools as well. We try to include as many people as possible, colleges, universities, cities, towns, and some of the things that we've heard were that the majority of the school districts in Richland have already probably publicized that they're going to be having an early release. Some of them have also publicized on Thursday they have considered doing late starts. You can certainly look at their releases to find that out. And additionally, I shared with the group on that call that I also work with our counterparts for me, for example, in Lexington County. So I heard from the Lexington County administrator. They had similar meetings. Those school districts are doing similar things. And again, just trying to make sure that we as a community can take safe precautions. As far as Richland County is concerned, the county government is not closing. We have asked that any members in the community who are planning to do business with Richland County, who feel like they physically need to travel to the main building, that you please consider doing that by noon. We want to reduce the number of people that are traveling and on the roads as the weather changes during the late afternoon. I've sent a correspondence to elected officials and department heads, giving them the flexibility to make sure that anybody that travels far distances to work, they consider allowing those people to work flexible schedules, work remote, or otherwise leave so they can be safe in their travels. So all those management tools are at their disposal. Those officials can make those decisions, but they have the flexibility to do so. but the county government will be open. But again, we want folks to not travel if they don't have to, as the weather changes later on in the afternoon. So that's probably the most recent updates related to Richland County, related to the weather event that we're potentially scheduled to see. We'll certainly take any questions before I move on to the other items on the agenda.
Questions from the body for Mr. Brown or comments? All right.
Right.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. So the next several items are all under the administrator's nomination. And some of these items, you're like, Mr. Brown, wait a minute, there are 4 things here. Why are we just seeing this? All of these things are on this agenda because they are time sensitive. Which is why they are under the administrator's nomination, which is why they're on the agenda for tonight. All 4 of these items without action on tonight by county council would in effect to not let any of these things successfully move forward. So there is not another time frame in which you could consider these matters other than tonight and they be successful. That's why they're under the administrator's nomination. Starting with item 1, we received a request. And as Mr. Pugh mentioned, we have members in the audience related to this request who are asking the county to provide a letter of support so they can seek funding to provide a project enhancements to the TAG complex, which is listed at 1 National Guard Road in Columbia, South Carolina. If you look within the packet, I believe that is on page maybe 31. And the staff's recommendation is that we provide approval of that letter of support. This county council has communicated on numerous occasions, even in part of its strategic plan, that it supports our military. In this particular request would be such support. If you look on page 32, it talks about what they hope to accomplish by receiving these funds. And this proposal is to repurpose an existing facility, which is formerly leased by the Dominion Energy. For community outreach and improved service member, veteran, and family services support. So again, this is an item that the staff would recommend approval. We see it as something that you have talked about supporting. And so without getting to any more information, Mr. Chair, would ask that this item be considered for approval by the council.
Questions or comments from the body? And Mr. Brown, my preference would be that you just go through each of the items, and
Okay.
if there's a motion that's forthcoming, that we could just resolve them all in one fell swoop, that would be desirable on my end.
Item number 2, Mr. Chair, under community planning and development, is the mitigation bank credit sales. Again, this is consistent with excess credits that the county has. This would allow this particular project to move forward, which is again why the timeliness is recommended. So the purchase of 3.7 wetland credits for the development of the Richland Logistics Center in Richland County at a rate of $20,000 per credit is a staff recommended approval. Mr. Chair, considering item number 3, again, this is a mitigation credit request, again, of excess credits, which would not negatively impact the county. We recommend approval of the request by JNC Investments, LLC, to purchase 3.9 wetland credits for the expansion of a commercial facility in Lexington County at a rate of $20,000 per credit. And item 4 is another request that we have received, which will allow McIntyre National Guard to apply for funds that would allow them to support their modular temporary housing units for dedicated firefighters at McIntyre Joint National Guard Base. We again approve of that letter being submitted that shows our support, and we recommend approval on items 1 through 4 for all of these items, Mr. Chair. And with that being said, would also recommend, if they are approved, that they be reconsidered.
Questions or comments, body? Items, there be, and I entertain a motion.
Chair, I recommend approval for items 10A, items 10A 1 through 4.
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Move to,
Move for reconsider.
second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston, Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Brown?
That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next item on the agenda is item 11, report of the clerk of council. Madam Clerk, you recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. There's no report at this time.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 12, report of the chair. At this time, the chair does not have any updates or announcements for the body. Next item on the agenda is...
Mr. Chair?
Oh, you recognize,
Yes,
Madam
I
Vice Chair?
apologize. If I would, can I have a moment of personal privilege? I should have said this earlier, and I slipped my mind, but with Mr. Councilwoman Weaver mentioned our conference and the Associated County Conference and thanked our clerk, I also wanted to really highlight two of our staff members as well as myself and another council member who completed our South Carolina Association of Counties Institute of Government Level 1 certificate. And so ACA Thomas, Clerk to Council Annette Carrillo, Councilman Gretchen Barron, and myself did all complete that certificate recently at the conference. So I just wanted to make sure we took a moment to highlight all those individuals for their hard work in completing all of those courses and the commitment to that.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Mackey. Next item on the agenda is item 13, approval of consent items. Item 13A, case number 23-012MA. Ms. Newton, where are you when I need you?
Trying to get to that point.
Your applicant, Mia
Mr.
Michael
Chair?
Arnold. You recognize Ms. Newton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve items 13A through E.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes?
English.
Yes.
Newton is still here. Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank
Any of
you
these
so
need
much, Ms. Newton.
Consideration.
Is there a motion for reconsideration?
Oh, I'm asking if they need.
Is a motion for reconsideration needed? Actually, no, these are these are second reading items. No, I just saw that. No, it wouldn't be proper at this time. All right, next item on the
Mr.
agenda.
Chair?
Yes, you recognize Ms. Newton?
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, it's Ms. Teresia.
Regarding the airport, does that item need to be reconsidered?
No, we're about to vote.
Please.
We're going to vote on that one now. It was items 13A through D, I believe. Is
I
that
misheard.
correct, Ms. Newton? Items 13A through D as in dog?
Actually, I meant to move through item E, echo.
Meant to, but you didn't, right? Just for purposes of the record.
Didn't.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So, Ms. Newton, entertain a motion with respect to 13E.
Move to approve item 13E.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Say yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Entertain a motion for reconsideration on 13E.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
Nope.
Pugh,
Nope.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
Yes. That's what I was thinking. I mean, no, I'm sorry. No.
English,
No.
Mackey,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 14A. Mr. Livingston, you recognized?
Move for deferral, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Second.
Items 14A.
Properly second. That's non-debatable. So, Madam Clerk, take the vote. I'm sorry, and Mr. Livingston, defer until when?
Next meeting.
To the next meeting? Be deferred to the September 12th meeting, I believe that is?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it's been seconded. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 14B, authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreements by and among Richland County, South Carolina, LDE LLC and Shop Grove 1 LLC, formerly known as Project Growth, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. I entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item on the agenda is item 14C, authorizing the expansion of the boundaries of the I-77 Corridor Industrial Park developed with Fairfield County to include certain property located in Richland County, the execution and delivery of a public infrastructure credit agreement to provide for public infrastructure credits to 2222 Main LLC, a company formerly known to the county as Project Main View and other related matters. I entertain a motion.
Move for Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And does anyone know if we need to reconsider items 14B and C?
Mr. Chair, I think it would be helpful considering that your next meeting is not until September 12th.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair,
Reconsideration.
they are third reading, so it is the final reading.
This is the third and final reading, right? That's, yeah. So does it need to be reconsidered or it doesn't need to be?
Yes.
All right.
So move, Mr. Chair, for reconsideration.
Second.
And for the record, that would be items 14B and C. It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 15, report of the Administration Finance Committee. That would be given by the Honorable Jessica Mackey. Madam Vice Chair, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Administration and Finance Committee recommends council approve the pavement management services from Roadway Management Technology.
You heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? You recognize Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. If I remember correctly, I sat in that committee. Is this the one that costs like $66,000 or something, or?
So according to our notes, the associated cost is $150,000. That includes all initial startup costs, hardware, software,
$150,000.
importing roadway data. You remember this now?
I remember it now.
Okay.
That's right. It's a software program or something to track.
Yes,
How
and so
often
it'll
cars
be able to bring in all of our road pavement online. It'll allow staff to keep up with this. It's a better, more efficient way of tracking when we need to repave roads, and they'll be able to measure the roads effectively, and we can plan better to budget better for road repaving throughout the county.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Item. Right, Madam Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Branham.
I just wanted to say that after sitting through the committee meeting and hearing a description of the software and hearing the way that the county has maintained the pavement records previously, I'm really excited about the software coming online for the county. It's just going to help us be more accurate in maintaining and collecting data that will help direct where we need to put our county resources when it comes to repaving the county maintained roads, and I think primarily in unincorporated Richland County. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Anything else on this item? Madam Clerk, take the vote. Please.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
Unfortunately, we lost audio, so I was unable to hear the report.
I'm assuming you're abstaining from the vote, Ms. Barron?
I am, yes.
Yes, ma'am, so noted for the record.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Madam Vice Chair, does this item need to be reconsidered?
Yes, sir.
All right, entertain a
Motion for
motion.
reconsideration?
Move for
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none. I like this eagerness, by the way. Let's keep that going. Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron, Walker?
She's abstaining. No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report for Administration and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Next item on the agenda is a report of the Office of Small Business Opportunity Ad Hoc Committee. That will be given by the Honorable Derek Pugh. Councilman Pugh, you recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The ordinance 058-16 HR, an ordinance amending the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, so as to move the division known as the Office of Small Business Opportunities from procurement so that the division directly reports to the county administrator. The committee recommends approval.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? You looked up at me, Ms. McBride, so.
No.
Okay. Well, she did look up at me, gave me that quizzical look. But, all right. Well, you've heard the recommendation of the committee, so any discussion or questions? There being none, Madam Vice Chair, let's take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And question, Mr. Wright, this is an amendment of the ordinance, so I'm assuming this would this qualify, I guess it's the first reading? Tonight's vote?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure nothing needed to be reconsidered, that's all. Thank you, Councilman Pugh. Next item on the agenda is item 17, report of the Employee Evaluation and Oversight Ad Hoc Committee. That would be given by the Honorable Shakese Newton. Councilwoman Newton, you recognize. And she's asking to unmute.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Hopefully you can hear me this time. You have in front of you on your agenda on page 218, the recommendation from the Employee Evaluation and Ad Hoc Committee meeting, where you may recall that we've been working with Pathways Consulting to help develop and implement the evaluation process for the staff that reports to County Council. The Development and Services Committee recommends that we accept their recommendations for the evaluation process and also that we negotiate to extend the contract for an additional year to use their services.
You've heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Newton, does this item need to be reconsidered?
Yes, sir. Move to reconsider.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Move to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the-
Newton votes no too, just for the record.
Newton,
Yes.
motion fails.
All right, next item on the
Mr.
agenda is
Chair.
item 18, other items. Unless you're going to
I am, sir.
fulfill the role that Ms. Newton so eagerly fills for us, you recognize Mr. Pugh.
Mr. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve items 18A through E.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Move to reconsider.
Gosh, I love this.
Second, sir.
Moved to properly second multiple times. And any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 19, executive session, which really takes us back to item 6A through F. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron, Walker,
Yes.
Yes for Walker.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Executive session.
Ms. Barron, was that you?
I say the wrong.
All right, entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio. Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
The record reflect we went into executive session regarding items 6A through F. We received legal advice regarding those items pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70 A2, and no action was taken.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion related to amending a current ordinance.
You recognize?
Thank you. I move to amend the ordinance, the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 15, Libraries, by amending Section 15-2, so as to authorize the County Library Board to recommend one employee of the library system to the County Council to serve as a member of the county's First Step Partnership, and Chapter 2, Administration, by amending Section 2-332, so as to recognize the Richland County First Steps Partnership Board.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
As I wasn't able to participate in executive session per our rules, I'll be abstaining from this vote and any other motions that come out of executive session.
Motion approved.
Also, Ms. Mackey.
Yes, I just needed to find out from attorney any other action need to be done with this.
No, this will act as the first reading for this particular ordinance, but it will require 2 more readings.
Thank you.
You recognize Ms. McBride?
Mr. Chair, so when a motion is made, as this motion was made, and it does not go through committee process, is that part of this is something that has been occurring recently. I'm saying that that's an exceptional rule, or is that part of a regular rule? Is this done for extenuating circumstances, or it can be done at any time? That's my question.
Mr. Wright, do you want to address that? But I would think that far as an amendment to an ordinance, yes, it can come through a committee, but that's not necessarily a prerequisite, right?
Right. That's something that can be taken up by the full council, especially if it's already, like, for example, we did speak about the Legislative Act 81. It's something that the legislature recently approved, and it's something that we are required to do by them. So it doesn't necessarily have to go through a committee in that circumstance.
Ms. McBride?
So it's based because it's sort of legally bound that we need to do it anyway.
Right, we're required.
Okay, so it's like some extenuating circumstances, but that's why we're not actually going through the regular committee process?
Yes.
Because of the legal requirements?
Right. This is a requirement from the legislature.
Okay, thank you.
But also, too, Mr. McBride, customarily, things come through committee, and obviously you would know that. You know that better than me. You've served on council longer than me. I don't have to lecture you about that. But I also don't think that it's mandatory that we move something through committee. But I get your point, wanting to be consistent as well. So I appreciate that. But I don't want us to have the impression that something has to come through committee if we're going to amend an ordinance.
No, and not only for that I understand, but just generally motions coming straight through and going to council for voting and not going through a committee process is something that I have been observing recently that we have not done in the past. So I guess I have some concerns with it unless it's something that's actually an emergency or something that we need to do, or has some legal ramifications with it.
And you have my word, Ms. McBride, and we'll certainly be more cognizant of that going forward, seriously.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, just for the record, there are, in other circumstances, such as this, if something is brought up to the full body, it does take a unanimous vote, and you can take up anything pretty much if you unanimously decide that you want to take it up. So one member can say no, and that means it has to go through a committee in other circumstances, if it's not like an exigent circumstance.
Thank you. And this is my final.
Go ahead, Ms. McBride.
One of my issues is because I need, I need the background information before I make a decision on things. And sometimes with the motions coming just before, you don't get enough background information. In this case, we did, so I thank you.
Ms. McBride, we got 2 more readings on this as well, so, yeah. All right. Next thing is going to be item 6A, the Blythewood Intergovernmental Agreement annexation. At this time, I would move to direct the administrator to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes?
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
I will abstain because I was not in executive session to hear what those instructions were.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Made the motion. Oh, but it's okay. It's fine. It's
Walker.
already passed.
I am sorry.
It's fine.
Walker,
Yes.
thank you. Motion approved.
You insist. Does that require reconsideration? Mr. Brown?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. All right, next item on the agenda. Item 20, it's the motion period. Ms. Mackey, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a motion for County Council to fund Adventure Children's Museum hospitality tax request for facility improvements and enhancements to improve safety and attract new visitors at the museum.
Mr. Wright, if I understand correctly, with this being a motion that's coming before the body, the first vote would be to decide if we want to take it up, which would require unanimous consent. And if we don't get unanimous consent, then it goes to a committee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Recognize Ms. Mackey?
I guess my intention was for it to go to a committee.
Go to committee?
Yes, sir.
So you don't have to
vote on
do
it.
that first
Yeah,
vote if it's going to a committee. You can make the decision to just send it to a committee.
Mackey has spoke, said what her intentions were. So I'm going to send it to an A&F committee. Next item on the agenda, adjournment.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, that is non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes?
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker.
Before I vote, I just want to say that I really missed y'all, if you can't tell. You know, a month has been too long, and I'm inclined to vote no for adjournment. So that's a no vote. That's a no vote. Put it on the record.
We'll see you here next time, Mr. Paul. Have fun.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Unfortunately.
Missed you too, Mr.